How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer coming at you with another video. Hope you're all doing well. And today is the day you've all been waiting for, where I give my initial impressions of Starfield. So before we get into that, before we get into that, let me take a sip of my wine. And I have a few pickups I want to show you guys really quickly, and then we'll get on to the initial impressions. Went to one of the pawn shops in my area that I haven't been to in a while. Really nice pawn shop, super clean. Prices are really good. Really good deals on PS4 Pro machines right now and Xbox Series X. Really good deals. And I lucked out today, guys. I was able to pick up a couple of PS1 games. Here we have SmackDown, but it's actually WWF Warzone. So I picked it up for another guy in the community, but he's telling me he already has this game, so I'll hold on to it. No problems there. It was only, I think, $12.99. And for $12, I picked up the original Gran Turismo, which is really cool. Nice bookend companion piece, because I have GT2. I also have GT3, and I have GT4 and GT5. That's really cool. Apparently, this is the best-selling PlayStation 1 game of all time, but I never see it out in the wild. But the front cover, those of you who had this game back in the day, you're probably going to remember this. I've never seen it up close in person before, but there's actually not a hologram, but kind of like I don't know how to explain it. There's like a print on the front of the plastic, and I don't know if you can see it. It's like a bunch of little dots. Maybe there you go. There you go. Really cool. So yeah, original case. Now, the guy was telling me at the store, I didn't realize it, but it's actually only one disc. The front part, you can't put a disc in there. You can't. But there's a big booklet, obviously. And then you've got the actual disc right here. So, real cool stuff. I've always wanted to have that in the collection. And the big pickup here from the same store again, plethora of PS1 games. This one's really special to me. And I paid $25.99 for this, and it was worth every penny. I never see this out in the wild. Mint condition, Porsche Unleashed for the PS1. Yeah, I'm smiling. I'm so happy. This is amazing. This game is so good. I had this. I might still have it. I had it for the PC. But, man, this is like Hot Pursuit 3, but with Porsches. So I'm really happy to have this in the collection. You guys wouldn't understand. I love this game so much. So, really cool stuff. So getting on to the meat and potatoes of today's video, this is not your typical first impressions kind of video. I don't want to talk so much about the details of the game. I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about my thoughts on the game and sort of maybe dispelling some of the myths or some of the rumors or some of the things that the naysayers have been saying about Starfield. So, first thing I wanted to mention is I'm loving my Stellar Shift controller. I love it. Lunar Shift? Stellar Shift. Lunar Shift. Loving it. So it really pops under the right lighting conditions. It's really cool stuff. I love it. So, as far as the game is concerned, I want to say I'm about 8 or 9 hours into it. So I'm not too far, but I'm far enough that I can at least give you guys some initial thoughts on the matter. So there's some reviewers out there that played the game, and one of their major complaints was the game story, and the game starts off too slow, and the first 10 hours is a slog. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that is just not the truth, okay? I'm about 8 hours into it, and I've had nothing but a blast since I started playing the game. And I do want to say, I want to stress this as well. And I've already talked about it before, but if you're playing this game just to put out a review and you're trying to rush through it and go from mission to mission to mission to mission to mission, that's going to mar the experience. So from the very start of the game, right up until where I'm at right now, I've been soaking it all in. I have not been trying to rush through anything. I've been soaking it all in. When you get to one of the main cities, I think it's called New Atlantis, and you're brought into this building to talk to this woman. I can't remember her name, and you're there to talk about The artifact that you found, I don't want to ruin it too much for you guys that haven't played it. This building that you go into is so big that after I got done talking to her, instead of leaving the building to start my main quest, no, I walked around the building and I checked out all the rooms. And the attention to detail in this game is unfreaking believable. It's incredible. Like, you know how those of you who are familiar with Bethesda games, a lot of times Bethesda will reuse assets for set dressing, and you'll go to, like, 100 different buildings on the Fallout map as an example, and you're gonna see like the same wine bottles on the table, and the same chair over here and the same wall art over here. I'm not saying that they're not reusing assets in Starfield, but I mean, so far I haven't seen anything that really jumped out at me. Like, I've seen it 100 times. Like, everything looks really fresh. I even got to one part early on in the game. I stumbled upon like this interactive museum that you walk into, and there's so many things to interact with, and it's just like the attention to detail is jaw-dropping in this game. And I'll say this as well. Bethesda and Microsoft making the business decision to delay this game was probably the best thing they ever did. Honestly, this game is like, I haven't really experienced any glitches. I had one issue where I started to interact with an NPC and the camera shifts to like all Bethesda games, where you just see this view of the character, right? And at first it was out of sync where the character was talking, but the audio was out of sync with the lip movement. That's the only thing I've experienced so far, and a little bit of texture flickering on the back of my jetpack. But that's it. That's all I've really experienced. This game is really solid as far as, I guess the word would be polished, as far as the gameplay is concerned. The most polished Bethesda game that's ever been produced, obviously. But yeah, just more to the point, it was just smart for them to delay it, to work out all the extra kinks, because they saw what happened with Cyberpunk 2077, right? And it makes you just think, it makes you think if CD Projekt Red would have continued to delay Cyberpunk, how that would have been received when it eventually came out, you know what I mean? But it was also smart for them It was also smart for them to delay Starfield because it aligned nicely with Gamescom, which was just before the release of Starfield. And now we've got Forza Motorsport that's coming out here in a couple of weeks. So, man, I'm telling you, you laugh it up, all those Sony ponies laughing it up that Microsoft hasn't had any good exclusives. Well, at least for me, Starfield makes up for all that. Starfield is the exclusive to have. This game really has like a sense of occasion too when you're playing it. Like, it's whoever said the story is not good, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, because it's a really awesome story. It's really good. Again, I don't want to get into it too much here, but there's a lot of mystery involved, and I just want to keep playing it. And for those that are comparing the game to No Man's Sky, that's just such a stupid comparison, because I played them both. This game has nothing in common with No Man's Sky, except for the fact that it takes place in space, and this game came out within the last 10 years, just like No Man's Sky. As far as like, using your cutter tool to scavenge the land for different minerals, it's not, as far as I'm concerned, I haven't really seen too much of that. You can find different minerals on rocks and things, and you can pull out your cutter tool and you can hack away at it for a little bit until it breaks apart, and then you can collect those minerals. But that's as far as it goes, as far as the similarities are concerned. No Man's Sky is just like a space simulation. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but Starfield is an RPG. Okay, it's an adventure RPG. And then you get people, and I know John Linneman was one of them. He had mentioned that initially it was kind of jarring to see all these loading screens as you go from one area to the next. Well, let me stop you right there. Okay, let me stop you right there. I know Digital Foundry, when they put out their analysis video, they were showing like in some places the loading screen is like 20 seconds or 30 seconds on the Xbox Series X. I haven't seen that. I have not seen that. You get the loading screen, it's like 5 seconds at most. It's barely anything, okay? It doesn't hinder the experience at all. Not the least slightest. For those of you who are complaining about that, you obviously haven't played the older Bethesda games. Hell, go back and play, almost said Far Cry, Fallout 4, where you're waiting like 30 or 40 or 50 seconds for the loading screen to pass by. It's not like that with Starfield. So it's incredibly polished. It's really cool when you're talking to an NPC, and let's say there's another NPC that's joining in on the conversation. It'll show you who you're talking to, and then when the next person starts talking, the screen will cut to that person. Never seen that before in a Bethesda game as far as I can recall. I don't recall it being like that in Fallout 4. And as far as the frame rate is concerned, I don't know how Bethesda did it. But I'm telling you guys, and you're going to laugh at me when I say this, the game feels like it's running at 60 FPS. It does not feel like it's running at 30 FPS. It's really smooth. I disabled the motion blur. I know John Linneman's a big fan of that. I'm not. I shut it off. Honestly, I don't see much difference having it on and off, but I shut it off. The game, yeah, like I said, the game is extremely smooth, running at 30 FPS. Another cool thing too is this is like the first time Bethesda, and this could be because they were working in conjunction with key members from id Software, but the gunplay mechanics, when you go into first person view, it feels like a first person shooter. It is so satisfying, to the point where, you know, I played a mission, an early mission, where you board this ship that's been, I guess, derelict, like it's no longer, it's been floating out in space. You board it, and you get ambushed by a bunch of pirates that are on the ship. And I quickly realized with this game, when you get into combat, you quickly want to jump into first-person view and play it out like a first-person shooter. You do, because a lot of times with these sort of Bethesda-style games, I enjoy playing the game in third-person view. I like being able to see my character. I really do. But I'm telling you guys, for those of you who have played it, maybe you can chime in the comments below. The first-person, the FPS shooting mechanics in this game are amazing. Amazing. It feels so good. It's on par with Cyberpunk, and it feels a little bit like the Outer Worlds as well. But, you know, it's really good for sure. So, the music, the score, whoever did, I guess, the theme song, they did a really good job, because the song almost sounds like the Fallout theme in a way, almost like it's played in reverse. In a good way. It's a very satisfying song, and when it kicks in while you're playing the game, you know something story related is about to go down. So it's really cool. When you're flying in your jet, when you first start flying in your jet, it can be a little bit overwhelming, because you're like, what are all these buttons? What does all this stuff do? What do I press on the controller? Once you get used to it, it's second nature. And getting back to buttons and controls, Bethesda did such a good job laying out what does what on the buttons and on the menus. It's just so smooth the way you're able to transition from, the start menu to the screen that shows your inventory and the map and the solar system, and then going back to the gameplay. Everything's perfect. If I had one gripe or one complaint, it's not really the game's fault, but you play it and you're kind of like, man, I got this Xbox Series X. It's too bad this game has, as far as I could tell, baked lighting. It's not taking advantage of ray tracing or some of the other trickery that these new consoles should be able to produce volumetric lighting. But then you quickly realize when you play this game, because of the size and scope that this game is, I don't think, at least on the console, maybe on the PC they could, but I don't think Bethesda could incorporate these graphical enhancements, because it would really bog the game down on the Xbox Series X, unfortunately. And I was kind of like, I got to one of the planets, and it's kind of like a snowy planet, and there was no snow degradation. When you're walking through the snow in some video games and you can see your footsteps as you look back and you can see your footprints in the snow and you can see the snow moving around. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 did that really good, and so did God of War on the PS4, and those were last gen games. So you think surely Bethesda would be able to incorporate that, but again, it could be too taxing for this type of game, right? You're not in a linear. Well, Red Dead Redemption is not linear either, but I don't know. You'd have to talk to Todd Howard, right? And the other gripe I have is your character, if you're walking slowly, the way he moves his ass and his legs, it kind of looks like a female. I'm just saying. There's some other stuff I would like to say too, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut for politically correct reasons. If I said what I wanted to say, I'd probably... it's just not... Let's say it's just not worth it. I noticed a few things in the game that seem kind of SJW-ish and actually don't really make sense as far as the real world is concerned. And I don't want to say that Bethesda is pushing a narrative or pandering to an audience, but there are some things that I noticed that I'm like, oh, really? You had to do this, right? Right? That's all I'm going to say. I can't say really much more than that. But to sum it all up, playing this game, it's the best Bethesda game of all time. Bar none, by far. And, you play a game like this, and it's like, I think to myself, man, I kind of like, why did I waste my time playing all those Far Cry games and spending all those hours on these other games? Well, they're fun. They're fun. You look at those games after playing Starfield, you're like, man, yeah, those games are kind of mediocre. You know what I mean? Like, that's what happens when you have a game like Ubisoft that spends, 16, 24 months creating a game to get it out the door, right? To appease the shareholders. And then you got a company like Bethesda that sits on an egg for like 6 or 7 years. Now you imagine those 6 to 7 years that Bethesda's working on Starfield, they're not generating any revenue from this game, but yet they're paying all these employees while they continuously work away at this game, right? So now you guys understand why Bethesda releases a game like Starfield, Fallout 76, while you guys moan and groan about that, and so did I. Not really my thing, right? Online MMO. They need to release something like that to be able to generate a little bit of liquid cash to continue to fund their magnum opus here, their space opera, Starfield. So, yeah, I know Bethesda's not a cash-hungry game, or company, excuse me, by any means, but they still have to generate revenue. It's just the way the world works. So, yeah, in closing, so far, again, I'm only about 7 or 8 hours into it. I'm blown away by Starfield. It is definitely one of the greatest games I have ever played. The graphics are mind-blowing at times, and the attention to detail. And like I said, the best way, if you really want to enjoy this game, is just to take your time, soak it all in, play 3 to 4 hours a night. Don't try to rush through it. If you see something across a planet that you want to look at, go look at it. Don't feel like if you walk away from what you're doing, you won't be able to find your way back. Just take your time. It's when you start trying to force things, okay? That's when you're gonna break and ruin the experience. And to sum it all up too, one of the reasons why I really enjoy these types of games is like it kind of reminds me of when I was a child. We used to have these choose your own adventure books, and I fucking loved them. And what it was is like you get a book, and let's say it was like 150 pages, right? Not a big book. And you start on page 1, and it would say like, this is what's happening, you're such and such person, and, flip to page 40 if you want to do this, or flip to page 65 if you want to go this way. And then let's say you go to page 65, you would read that page, and it would give you another option. If you want to do this, go to page 30. If you want to do this, go to page 80. And the idea was, by the time you got through all these pages, you would come to a conclusion, an ending to the book, all based on your decisions, right? And you could go back and start reading the book again and choose different decisions to make your way through. And I feel like that is like that's the start of the evolution from those books to this style of video game where you're interacting with characters and you have all of these decisions to choose and dialogue trees. And by the way, I love how they went back to having a silent protagonist. I love that. That's awesome. But yeah, just being able to choose your own adventure, choose what you want to say to somebody. If you want to be snarky or sarcastic, nobody's saying you can't be. It's just amazing. Oh, the other thing I want to mention too. Oh my god. So the character creation at the beginning of the game. Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous that they're making you select pronouns. I guess they're trying to cater to Master System or so, but we don't need to go into that here. But yeah, as far as the character creation is concerned, it's like they're halfway there. They still haven't really got it yet. Like it's really good what they've done. But like when you're choosing, if I'm wrong, you guys can correct me, but like when you're choosing your haircut, it's like they give you like 50 different haircuts to choose from. But like none of them appealed to me. Like that's not the type of haircut I was trying to create myself. I was trying to give the guy like short hair, and I couldn't find the right style. And I couldn't, I wish they would give you more freedom with regards to creating your character. I wish you could create the style of haircut that you want. Not just choose pre-selected haircuts, because no matter what hairstyle you choose, your character is going to come out looking like Justin Bieber. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that's it. I can keep going on about this for the next hour, but again, I just wanted to give you an honest sort of like initial impressions on the game. And I've seen a lot of reviews out there. I tried to avoid watching a lot of the video out there for this game. I didn't want to spoil it for myself, but now that I played it and thinking back to all these reviews that I've watched, man, anyone who beat this game in like a day or two and they're putting out a review, just stop, okay? Just stop. Seriously, stop. So yeah, Starfield, a big 2 thumbs up. A 10 out of 10 so far. I'm going to continue chipping away at it each night. I'm in no rush to beat it. I'm just chipping away at it, taking my time, soaking it all in the way that this game is intended to be played. No, the first 10 hours are not slow. It's amazing. It's absolutely freaking amazing. I haven't even gotten into the part where you start creating your own ship. I haven't gotten to that point yet. There's so much to do. Anyways, yeah, I'm going to cut it off there. I really wanted to talk a little bit about this because I know you guys have been wondering my thoughts on it. So there you go. Starfield. Check it out. Anyways, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.